There is a dark side that quietly looms behind the Hollywood lights, where fame, power, and the fragility of personal image intertwine into a maze of temptation and fear. In an industry where every look, every word can become a weapon, many black artists have had to live with the double pressure of maintaining their halo while protecting their private lives from the prejudices that still creep in behind the scenes. In a place where the truth can sometimes destroy an empire in the blink of an eye, stories of secret love, whether real or just rumors, always make the public curious and obsessed. This is not a list of accusations, but a journey to open another perspective. Why secret relationships, especially same-sex love, have become something many artists have to hide to survive in the harsh showbiz. For decades, Will Smith has been one of Hollywood's most dazzling faces, charismatic, energetic, and always dominating the stage and screen. However, along with the light of fame, the gossip about his private life has never completely subsided. The public not only loves his movies, but is also curious about the marriage and personal choices of Will and Jada, especially the stories that are fabricated and repeated in the entertainment media cycle. Since the 90s, when Will transformed from a sitcom star to a global icon, news sites have begun to scrutinize every detail of his life. And when both husband and wife shared that they did not follow the traditional marriage model, the attention became even louder. Speculations about special agreements or complicated lives spread widely without any solid evidence, making Will's image the focus of stories he did not directly tell. Still, Will Smith remained his usual self-calm, funny, and surprisingly in control of his emotions. He turned curiosity into performance pressure into grace. But his explosive moment at the Oscars made the world wonder, was there pressure that had been building up behind that calm demeanor for too long? In the end, perhaps Will Smith's most difficult role was the person he had to maintain under the constant gaze of the public. Alvin Ailey has long been one of the most intriguing figures in the public eye. He is a legendary choreographer, founder of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and the man who helped reshape the face of modern dance. Few people remember that, before becoming an icon, Ailey tried his hand at acting. Whether on stage or in front of the camera, his performances exuded intense emotional power, nurtured by the challenging journey of a black artist in a prejudiced 20th century America. In an era where public disclosure of one's private life, especially one's sexual orientation, could have many consequences, Ailey chose to remain silent. He let his art speak for him. Every movement, every work reflected profound themes of identity struggle, loneliness, and endurance. That secrecy made his private life a mysterious void, but at the same time created a rare emotional depth in his artistic creation. When Ailey passed away in 1989, the press mainly honored his great contributions, while his personal life remained behind a veil of silence. Only later, thanks to the sharing of friends and relatives, did the public understand more about that quiet life. Alvin Ailey's story reminds us that behind the halo, there is always darkness that artists must face, but the legacy they leave will forever endure beyond all mysteries. Sidney Poitier was not only a movie star, but also a symbol of tranquility, value, and quiet strength in an era when black men still struggled to gain recognition. Yet behind the easygoing exterior and classic Hollywood aura were the coins that lasted throughout his time at the peak of his fame. The public admired Poitier's talent, but was also curious about the private life he always kept secret. In a harsh environment where a single piece of advice could disrupt an entire career, he understood the value of silence. Poitier played the pioneering role, the family man model that Hollywood wanted from its first black star to achieve many milestones. But his designers assert that behind that demeanor was an inner world that he rarely let anyone touch. His close relationships, his infrequent public appearances, and his complete secrecy about his personal life only fueled the rumors. It wasn't that he was deliberately trying to be mysterious, but in that era, secrecy was the only way to avoid Hollywood's judgment. Throughout his life, Poitier maintained discipline and integrity, protecting his privacy with that same integrity. And even after his death, Hollywood continued to wonder what did he have to sacrifice to maintain his perfect image. Johnny Gill's voice has always had a special appeal, thick, warm, and full of emotion, the kind of voice that makes listeners stop just to enjoy each line. However, along with his brilliant achievements, the career of this R&B singer has been overshadowed for many years by stories that the media has constantly exploited. Throughout the 90s and 2000s, the press constantly mentioned rumors surrounding the relationship between Johnny and Eddie Murphy, although both always affirmed that it was just a close friendship. The closeness between them, from frequently appearing together to supporting each other in life, has become fertile ground for the tabloids to create drama. Johnny has repeatedly denied, calling the rumors absurd and hurtful, but the more he denies, the more the press analyzes, making that baseless story become a persistent shadow following his image. Even his romantic relationships have been interpreted in many negative ways. Johnny Gill, however, remained steadfast in his music. He continued to compose, perform, and contribute, though sometimes his smile showed the wariness of someone accustomed to being misunderstood. To this day, the story is sometimes brought up again, not because of its validity, but because the media always clings to curiosity, and that story has become proof that fame can turn a normal friendship into the center of endless noise. Tracy Morgan is known for his bold, wild, and unexpected comedy style. He can make an audience laugh 1 second, then create a tense silence the next. But behind that loud laughter is a side of Tracy that he tries to hide, a vulnerability that he covers up with jokes. In the early years of his career, Tracy often spoke of masculinity and strength as if it were a way to assert his position in a harsh environment. This led some colleagues to notice his unusual defensiveness whenever the story touched on his private life. Many jokes seemed to become a layer of armor that helped him maintain a safe distance. People in the entertainment industry still say that Tracy's extreme nature sometimes resembles a mask of maturity in a context where vulnerability is not allowed to exist. As a black artist finding his place in comedy, he knew that any sign of vulnerability could be exploited, so he chose to turn pain into laughter. Over time, the public has seen Tracy's deeper layers through his broken marriages, troubled marriages, and the serious accident that almost took his life. However, rumors surrounding his private life still linger in the scandal-prone entertainment world. Perhaps the most secretive thing about Tracy Morgan is not who he loves, but his fear of revealing his true self. In the early 90s, Tevin Campbell was a young star that the music world admired. His soft, clear voice and humble, charismatic demeanor made him an idol to millions. Hits continued to appear on the charts, and a bright future seemed destined for this talented teenager. However, behind the halo was an invisible pressure that surrounded Tevin from the very beginning of his career. In an industry that promoted a strong image and masculine stereotype, his gentle and reserved nature easily became the target of rumors. When speculations about his personal life appeared, Tevin, then very young, was pushed into the center of attention that he was not ready to face. He chose to stay silent and let his music tell its own story. But silence is sometimes misunderstood, and over time the media's interest in Tevin gradually faded. The baseless rumors continued to spread, and he gradually retreated from the spotlight. Years later, Tevin unexpectedly returned more mature, stronger, and more honest when he came out as gay. It was not a response to the rumors, but a moment of liberation. Tevin's voice, still as pure as it was in the beginning, now carried the weight of courage to be himself. His story became a testament to the journey to find the light after long years of silence. Queen Latifah has long been a rare symbol of confidence and strength in the entertainment industry. From her early days in hip-hop, challenging stereotypes, to becoming a successful actress and producer, she has always pursued her own path. However, amid all of these brilliant achievements, there is one part of Latifah's life that she has kept more private than all her private life. For decades, rumors about her sexual orientation have constantly appeared in showbiz. Latifah is often accompanied by a close woman at many events, but whenever asked, she just smiles and changes the subject. Not because she is avoiding, but because she wants to maintain control. In a harsh industry where black women are always scrutinized, Latifah understands that silence is sometimes the strongest shield. She chooses to separate her private life from her fame, building an image of independence, courage, and freedom. People may speculate, the press may speculate, but Latifah keeps moving forward, focusing on her work, her family, and the happiness she maintains for herself. Then, at an award ceremony when she gently thanked her partner, it was a small but meaningful moment. No drama, no declaration, just something she wanted to share. Queen Latifah's story shows that strength doesn't always come from making everything public, but from living fully on your own terms. Tyler Perry has built an empire from scratch, from being homeless and sleeping in his car to becoming a billionaire owner of one of America's largest film studios. That journey is a testament to the power of will and the ability to turn pain into success. However, while Perry's career is often described as a modern legend, his personal life is a part that is almost untouched. For many years, the public has been curious about the man behind the character. Medea, a writer about family, faith, and healing, but always extremely private about himself. From his early days in the theater, rumors about his love life and sexual orientation have appeared partly due to his writing style, partly due to Perry's portrayal of female characters. But above all, perhaps the biggest curiosity comes from the fact that he does not live by the standards that Hollywood is familiar with. No scandals, no showing off relationships on the red carpet, no sharing private matters in public. Perry has repeatedly stated that he values privacy above all else. No loud rebuttals, no lengthy explanations, just a calm, clear decision that his private life belongs to him. In a Hollywood that likes to label and demands absolute transparency, that silence becomes a strong shield. One might speculate, but Perry continues to create and maintain a calm demeanor, because the greatest power sometimes isn't fame, but the ability to control your own story. And Tyler Perry has done just that, quietly but powerfully. Eddie Murphy was once an untouchable icon, the king of comedy in the 80s and 90s, capable of making millions of people laugh with just a small expression. But even the most brilliant artists have moments when the spotlight becomes harsher than ever. In the summer of 1997, at the height of his career, Eddie was pulled over by police in Los Angeles. He was traveling with a transgender woman. The incident lasted a few minutes, and there were no charges, but it was enough to create a media storm. The tabloids immediately exaggerated and distorted every detail to gain attention. Eddie explained that he was simply helping a person who needed a ride, but once the rumor spread, the truth seemed to be lost. His image suffered not because of his actions, but because of the pressure of public judgment. From then on, every interview became more tense, and his public appearances were always accompanied by scrutiny. Eddie became more cautious, aware of the fragility of a star's image. No secrets were revealed. Just a moment, exaggerated. Eddie focused on work, choosing family works, trying to reshape how the public saw him. Although time has passed, the event remains a low point in his journey, a reminder that the price of fame sometimes is having your private life exposed to a never-ending gaze. Luther Vandross doesn't just sing love songs, he lives every note as if his heart is telling a story in sound. His silky, soulful voice has made him one of R&B's biggest icons. But behind the sophistication and romance is a side of Luther that he keeps to himself. While the stage lights up for him, his private life is shrouded in a persistent silence. Rumors about his romantic tendencies surfaced early on, but Luther never confirmed or denied them. He simply smiled softly, letting his music speak for him. In an industry that demands artists to be all out but is reluctant to accept complicated truths, Luther's reserve is both a shield and a burden. Those close to him describe him as gentle, thoughtful but cautious, a soul that yearns for connection, yet fears being seen through. And so he let it all flow into his lyrics, turning each love song into a private whisper that he never spoke aloud. Luther Vandross's legacy comes not from what he kept hidden, but from the melodies he gave to the world. Melodies that helped millions find themselves in their vulnerability, longing, and honesty. That voice, though born from silence, resonates with power. Talented actors have given the world unforgettable moments of performance, but behind the halo of glory lies the heavy burden of silence about their true selves. The question is, how many untold stories are waiting to be discovered? If you find these hidden truths interesting and want to learn more, don't let the conversation stop here. Hit the subscribe button, share this video, and join us in discovering more untold stories of Hollywood.